Long Live, aka Tony Tall Cans, representing Team Tall Cans, straight out of Jersey. Hanging out with my man Phil Jackson on Side B TV. Get familiar. Underground hip hop at its finest. Respect the grind, dawg.
Praying for the days, skip times like this, just to live like that.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Phil Jackson, host of Sabi TV, being brought to you on the Boombox Union channel. Please go back and hit that like and subscribe button. Listen, we've had so many dope interviews, man. Shout out to Rob Schwartz. Rob just does everything. He is one of the governors on the Grammy committee. He's the owner of Splash 98.5 FM down there in Atlantic City. He's one of the co-owners of ACX1 Studios. He runs a record, he runs a distribution label, everything. So that was a dope interview, and I really appreciate Rob for coming on. And what we're gonna do, I linked up with Rob again, and all my interviews that I'm doing right now, they're going to go on WhoMag TV, which is going to be broadcasted on Roku and the Fire Stick. So, we're going to be on TV. So anybody that I'm doing an interview with, you're going to be on TV. So, and that is more exposure for you guys. And that's what I want to do. But I got another guest coming up right now. This brother's been giving me music for so many years, man. And his production is so clean, man. I mean, and he's from Jersey. So of course, I'm gonna play him. I got my man DJ Melodic Sounds. And he's joining us on Sabi TV. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, Phil? Thank you so much for having me. You know what I mean? This means a lot. How's everybody doing? You know what I mean, for this evening?
Oh man, come on, man. It's like I said in my intro, man, you've been, giving me, so much good music for a couple years, man. And, I wanted to do an interview because I go on social media and I see your name everywhere. You see what I'm saying? And, and people out of the state send me, yo, did you hear this new song? I'm like, bro, it's like he sends me music personally. So, but, real quick, I want to start off. Where are you from, and how did you get your name?
From born and raised Linden, New Jersey.
Okay.
And my name I had got back in '96. I had a group at the time called the Infantry,
Okay.
and we were doing a lot of great things around Union County. We were in talent shows, and we were winning like 3 years in a row.
Okay.
But my name basically came from the fact that I like different types of melodies. I don't like just like one genre.
Right.
So a lot of music, it'll have different genres in them. Like I got some hip hop stuff that got rock, soul, funk, blues, jazz, and a lot of that was just embedded in me from my parents and my a brother-in-law of mine by the name of LaBanda Goforth.
Okay.
So that's basically how all of that came about.
No, that's what's up, man. So so you say you've been doing, you've been a part of the culture. Well, you've been a part of the culture for a while, but 96, this is when you really first started. So who were some of your influences that wanted to make, did you start off, let me back up. Did you start off as an MC, or did you start off as a producer? How did that work in your musical journey?
Well, let's take it back to '86.
Okay.
They had Crush Groove that came out, and that blew my mind. And I saw, Run DMC set in the show, and Jam Master Jay did it for me. Like that was it, So from there, this is '86. So you got WBLS, you got 98.7. So you got Red Alert, and you got Mr. Magic playing at the time. So I'm listening to them. So they're motivating me, to basically start DJing. Between the movie and hearing what's on the radio, those guys definitely influenced me. So by the time I'm like 13, 14, I get my first turntable with the mixer, the whole 9 yards of belt drive. But you know what I mean? I made it do what it do. And that started, my journey as a DJ. At the time I had went by DJ Panther. And like I said, from there, I had got with my cousins. We had a group called Mortal Thoughts.
Okay.
And they had wound up winning like, talent shows. And I'm like 14, 15 years old at the time. So I took all that motivation from 15, brought it up to New Jersey, because in my time frame of being born to 15, even now, my family has regions in Georgia.
Okay.
So every summer, all my life, we always had went down and, saw my, grandparents, cousins and stuff like that, aunts and uncles.
Mhm.
So that, by the time I'm 15, we permanently moved down there for a couple of years. That's how I got with my cousins. We did that rap group. 3 years later, 18, move up to Jersey. And then got with my group, the Infantry, 2 years later. And from there, we did, 3 years of doing talent shows in that area of like Elizabeth, Newark, stuff like that, and winning them first place. And from there, I just went on and just continued to produce. Like if it wasn't with them, it was with one of the members of the group,
Okay.
or I start with like, family members. But I was always like finding ways to like keep my sound out there.
Got you. Now, like who were some of your influences just getting into the hip hop culture?
Definitely I want to say DJ Premier,
Okay.
91, they had that project. Oh man, I don't know why I'm even having a
Was it 91?
step
It's
in the
not
arena.
Step in the Arena. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that like had me totally like focus on like what I wanted to do. Like I want to definitely DJ and I want to produce.
Okay.
So he was the main guy. And from there, seeing that, let's go up to like 97.
Okay.
He stepped in for Stretch and Bobito on Hot 97.
Okay.
And we were going up there anyway to give them our new single. Just so happens he was filling in for them that night. And I gave him my first single. And the song that he plays on the chorus, I have my voice. So when he did that and he played that same night, we gave him the 12-inch. I was like, all right, I knew right there, like, this is it for me. I ain't turning back. Like the guy that I look up to played, a song that has my voice on it. Like it is meant, so that's been my motivation and my
And what
mentor as a
what year was that?
97.
Oh,
Yep.
that was a
Yeah.
great year. That was a great year, man. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
because of the fact is, I want you to focus on what you just said. You went up to the radio station
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
you gave him
Yep.
the
vinyl.
vinyl,
Yep.
and he actually played it.
He actually played it. Yep. That same night.
Nowadays, you can't do that. You
No.
see what I'm saying?
No.
And of course, people have MP3s and everything like that. But
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, just like playing independent music on a commercial radio station, that
Right.
is very, very rare right now. Right now. And what you did is like that was a big step in. Did you expect Premier to play it that night, or he's like, he's gonna play it, just whenever he's gonna listen to it? It's like, yeah, it's cool.
We hoped and prayed. We had let them know that, that we would come up there to give the record to Bobito and them, and that they were absent. You know what I mean? So we gave him the heads up before he had walked in and let him know exactly what was going on, reason why we were outside. So, we was definitely hoping and praying that he would, do the fact that what we had said, like, yo, we were supposed to come up here and play this, but they're not here. So hopefully you could play it. And he surprised us, man. We just stayed outside. And once he got, ready and everything, the first song he played was This World. And we were just blown away, and thank God
how did that make you feel hearing your record on like Hot 97 at that time was probably the biggest hip hop station, not just in New York City, not just in the Northeast, but in the whole United States. Everything had to funnel through Hot 97. So how did that make you feel being played on Hot 97?
Right. So, with us being independent, knowing, how hard we had worked to get to that point was unbelievable. Like I said, 91, I'm seeing, getting step into the arena. I'm seeing exactly what I want to do with my life.
Right.
Fast forward to 97. This is like 6 years later, and I'm meeting the guy that I want to, set my journey on, and he plays it.
Right.
It's like you can't beat that. And even before we did that, we were winning talent contests,
Right.
and it was always first place. So it was like, to me, seeing all that happen, I was like, it's meant for you to do this. Like, you can't
It's meant
stop.
to happen.
Yeah. So that's always been my journey. Like, I'm not stopping due to the fact that I made that step right there, and it was independent. It wasn't like a major came to us. Everything that we did to get to that point was through our own, trials and tribulations
Right.
of knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. There was nobody teaching us this stuff. It was just like, all right, let's try it.
Yeah.
And thank God for Stretch and Bobito,
Word.
because they definitely helped a lot of independent artists
They sure
from
did.
91 on up, you know. And they did us a great favor. Once he played it, they wound up helping us get like a show in Philly. Bobito wound up having a store out there. So we wound up going out there and showcasing the song, and it wound up like helping us get on the road to where we can do other endeavors with just that 2 songs actually.
Now, like, what was? I know this might be a dumb question, but like, what was the main goal to actually get signed? And if you wanted to get signed, like, what was your focus label that you wanted to get signed to?
At the time, like by the time we hit the 3rd talent show, Sony Music was hosting it, and they
Okay.
were giving away, I shouldn't say giving away, but they were interested in seeing who would be able to, be signed to their label. So
Okay.
due to the fact that we had won, they were interested in sign us to the label. We didn't have management. Like I said, everything we were doing on our own. We didn't know anybody.
Mhm.
And wish that we did, just have somebody that was either in or somebody knew a little bit more than we did
Mhm.
to actually guide us through, because, we're young guys, 21, 22 years old, and we don't know exactly the business. We're just doing this all on our own and seeing that we're doing it the right way because we're getting results, but we didn't know that side of it, and I
Gotcha.
wish that we had somebody to actually teach us that side of it, because I'm sure it would have been a roller coaster ride from hell, because we didn't have the knowledge. We didn't have the understanding. So due to the fact that we're young and we all have our own mind state of what we want to do, it's not going to work unless we're all committed to, sign the deal. So that unfortunately didn't happen. I'm sure that had affected the group with not doing that, but in the long run, we're still here. We're 2/4 of us are still doing music out of the 4. The other ones may be doing something like multimedia, podcasting, things of that nature. But that's how I looked at the outcome of, like, yeah, it was a bad thing that we didn't, but in that process of not signing, we saw so many that did sign with majors, and all the roller coasters that they had to go through. And by then, by the time we found out the information, we had broke up,
Okay.
as a group. But I'm sure looking back, we all like, yeah, I'm glad that we didn't, because it was so many that we knew that were independent that signed. And it was like, yo, man, they did this, they did that, and we never had to go through that because we never signed the label. We,
Absolutely.
we continue to, even though we didn't sign, we continue to perform, we continue to release things on our own, to stay relevant.
And that's what I was just about to say. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise that you guys didn't sign to a label, because
Right.
like, everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different um stories
Mhm.
of being signed to a label. And you know but you know once you got all the knowledge, it's like, okay, like, now, did you, like, were you guys still really involved with making music? Or it's like, all right, well, we know what to do now. Like, did you try to go out and, hey, we need to go get a manager so somebody can manage us? Or you just, like, mainly focused on the music part?
We mainly definitely focused on the music part. We knew we had something, even though we disbanded. we all just stayed with the music. It could be, let's say we're all in one area of New Jersey. Let's say somebody moves
Mhm.
out of state or whatever like that, but we're constantly releasing something, whether it's a single, doing a music video, an EP. It was constantly something coming out, probably once every 3 years from
Okay.
like 2000 on up. It wasn't as a group. It was, individuals of the group. I may have produced one or two songs, you know what I mean? But we all stayed doing music up until this point. And like I said, out of the four people, two-fourths of the people are still doing it. So,
Okay. Okay. So, just fast forward now, um, you start off as a DJ and an MC, and then, you like, when did you move into the production part, and when did you say, hey, what, maybe I should just stay on the production side? So, like, when did that whole process take place of you being a full-time producer?
um, I would say with them, uh, and even it can go back to 91 when I had my group with my cousins, because even though I was the DJ, we had to come up with, three songs that could perform at talent shows or even get heard. So it was me coming up with the idea of like what the song should be about, the concepts and stuff like that. They would write it, but it was me like, okay, what should the beat sound like, you
Okay.
know? So this again, you're going at the sound of 91 of all the projects that came out of 91. And I wanted to fit into that style with the
Gotcha.
music and the lyrics and everything like that. So that's basically what our sound and everything was like at the time. Um, and I guess I did a good job because, like I said, they went and did talent shows and he won.
Mhm.
So, fast forward to 96 when I get with the infantry, um, my style changed because, in that time frame, I wanted not to sound like everybody else. I wanted to have my own uh, signature of like when you hear me, that's DJ Melodic,
Right.
And my sound was always that jazzy or soulful type of sound. It was never like in your face
Mhm.
type of energy. It was always like a relaxed type of mellow type of thing. So that's basically what I had did from that point all the way up into now. Like anytime that you can hear something, you can tell, oh, that's him. You know,
Now, were you self-taught, or who taught you the ropes around production?
self-taught. When I was two, my brother-in-law, Levander Goforth, he would watch me. He's a self-taught musician.
Okay.
So uh, from him, babysitting me at the age of two, and just knowing him, being in the family up until 8, I started, having pianos and drum sets and basically doing the same thing. Like he was basically teaching me how to learn by ear, like listen for stuff. And I always had that because my mom was saying, when I was 2, I would hum Stevie Wonder songs with no problem. Like
Okay.
in a kid's key, not in his key, but in the kid's key with, from beginning to end. So she
Mhm.
was like, she knew I had something, and even my original name, my government name is Michael because he wanted me to be like Michael Jackson.
Okay.
So, she kind of got her wish music wise, but not
Right.
dancing and singing. You know what I mean? And she's been happy, knowing that I stayed doing music and, getting awards, stuff like that. So she
Okay.
was like, all right, I named you right.
Now, outside of hip hop, who were some of your musical influences?
Outside of hip hop, James Brown,
Okay.
uh, definitely. A lot of I'm a soulful kid, so a lot of Motown, a lot of Stax, you know, things of that nature. I love Stevie, I love Prince, I love Michael, you know, but anytime I can hear a soulful record, that soulful record stays for me forever.
Word.
You
No,
know,
that's what's up. Now, coming from Jersey, um, especially in the 90s, it
Sure.
was so much good hip hop coming out, especially on the underground scene, man. Like, who were some of the guys that, that you were, associated with along with your group that we might know of?
Company Flow
Okay.
was one of them. Yeah, Company Flow, Mr. Lynn from the group Company Flow
Yes.
showed us a lot of love back when we were doing talent shows and in stores that they don't have anymore.
Mm.
When we would have those around, we would do those, and they would come out and see us and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, it was him, Babito. Oh man, I mean, Underground was always showing love. There was a group called Mind Crooks
Okay.
that was out. Science of Life.
Science of
Those
Life.
guys.
Those are my people. Shout out to John Robinson out there, man.
Yeah, man. He's I constantly stay looking at what he's doing.
Yes,
Great
sir.
guy. Great guy. So those groups, if you can, see where I'm going with it, there's nonfiction. I mean, the list goes on and on. From that era, we were just really deep into it, and not collaborate, but we would come across these guys, and how they would get together and they would do like freestyles and stuff like that, and exchange numbers and stuff, and me go to the studio, things like that, and just vibe out, So we knew we were in, a good, area with people if we're, being around these guys, and as you can see, years later, they're legends in the underground,
And they're still
and
making
still
music.
doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So that-
being from Jersey, was it hard for you guys to break in because you were closer to New York City?
Mhm.
So, was it kind of hard because I've heard, stories like, and even now, like Jersey artists really don't get enough credit because
Mhm.
you're caught between New York City and Philadelphia. So
Right.
and I'm more towards I'm South Jersey towards the Philly side, and I heard so many stories.
Right.
And and I got people up north. Shout out to my man Tone Live
Oh
and
yeah.
Elder Sensei and all them cats, man.
Yes, sir.
So was it harder for you guys to actually break in, and you had to quote unquote show and prove if you went to New York City or Philadelphia? And where did you guys mainly go because you were closer to up north? Did you go to mainly New York or did you go to
Yeah.
Philadelphia?
Yeah, it was mainly New York for any of the like open mics, artist showcase, New Eurekan Cafe, any of the New York, spots out there at the time, that would let you come and showcase what you got. We were going, you know. Uh, was it hard? I think that it was challenging, you know what I mean? Because you got four young brothers that's trying to do something, putting all our money together to get a response.
Gotcha.
So, you know what I mean? It was challenging because you don't want to sound like anybody else. You want to have your own style. You want to have something to represent and to stand on your own too. So that was challenging. Our name was the Infantry. We didn't dress up in fatigues or anything like that, but our lyrics were like to the front, basically.
Right.
That's how we were bringing it, as well as the music. So that was our description of like what we're coming with the infantry. We're to the front with our music and with our lyrics, and we got great responses due to the fact that I guess, wasn't dressed in fatigue or any like. We just came with great music and great lyrics, and I think that's what got us over at the time. That, oh wow, these guys can really rhyme, and these guys really got good beats. You know, so I think that helped us. And then, like I said, we knew Company Flow, we knew different underground groups. So when they would have shows, they would, have us come and either check them out or even open up,
Mhm.
So that, having those people that like are now underground legends help us, at that time was unbelievable, So it wasn't too hard. I would say the hard part was, basically getting us all in the mind frame of releasing two songs and sticking by it. And then doing the whole process of like, okay, we got these 100 records, where to go? Because we didn't like, now they got the distro kid, the distribution music. We were the distributors. So
Mhm.
we had to figure out like what college radios we wanted to do, what radio stations that will play it. If it had curses, like we were all in that mind state of pushing it ourselves, promoting, advertising, marketing. And that, basically, I think that hard work and dedication got us to get the results that we did.
Uh, do you remember the very first show I'm not talking about talent show wise, but
Right.
like you're on stage, you're on the bill with like a company flow or Science of Life, whatever. What was the very first show that you did with those with other groups, and
Mhm.
where was it at, and like how did that make you feel?
Oh man. All right. Company Flow had invited us. I think their project had came out, and I think they had a performance in New York. I don't know if it was Roseland
Mm,
or you know what I mean. Like it was one of
that's
the
legendary,
legendary
bro.
spots, right?
The
So
Roseland was legendary.
I know. I'm not gonna say that it's a possibility. It was one of the legendary spots at the time
Okay.
in 96, 97. And they invited us to go, and we saw the crowd that they had. It was sold out. It was magical, man. You know,
Mm,
so that kept us all, motivated to see like this is where it could be for us. Just, be with these guys, and they just released a project. The crowd is sold out. They're in a great place to have it. You know, it was very memorable, So yeah.
did you guys ever perform at the Lyricist Lounge?
No, no. We performed everywhere except.
Mm. No, why is that? Because like that would have been, bro. That
Again, this is all of us, doing it on our own.
Okay, I see.
And we even let's say if we do know Lynn and all of them, like we don't want to be like, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? It's like we want to kind of like look through the newspapers, like kind of hear like a word of mouth kind of thing, not kind of like lean on somebody's back. To actually get the because you feel good about yourself when you actually can find a spot where you can perform your thing and get reactions instead of somebody getting it for you, you know.
Right,
So
right,
we
right,
try to do everything ourselves and not rely too much on the people that we knew. So they're just like, if it wasn't for you, and I don't think that they would have did that with us, but
right.
we want to show them, we grown men too. Like if you guys could do it, we can do it too. We just got to figure out the avenue. And
You
there
know,
were times we felt it out, and there were times we didn't.
you know what the crazy thing about it is? You said that. Did you hear what you just said? You said we look through the newspapers.
Oh yeah.
That's not that ain't happening. That is, I mean, of course, it evolved, but that's how. Look, man.
Yeah.
Real quick, when I first started in radio, what I did was I took it was a publication,
Right.
and or I would take the phone book and I would
Mhm.
like write down the numbers to Power 99 or whatever in Philly, and I would
Yeah.
get the address from there. And I, bro, it
Yeah.
was like it was. And this is my next question:
Mhm.
do you feel as though that because it was so different back then, and you really, really had to roll up your sleeves and do production and do promotions, and just go hit the streets, and just get everybody to know who you are? Do you think it was harder back then, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it was so much, you had to do so much more legwork back then?
Yeah.
Like right now, it's like, oh, that's what you had to do. Just hit a button, send out an MP3, boom, I'm good.
Right. Yeah. Back then it was a lot of you had to, be on your 10 toes and go out
Yes.
there and get a reaction. We didn't have the technology that we have now. This is 30 years later.
Hmm.
So yeah, we had, payphones, we had newspapers, we had to actually get on the train and go to New York
Yeah.
or Philadelphia, and see what's popping or what's going on at the time. We couldn't just stay home, and if we couldn't find, like I said, if there was nothing in the newspaper, we're calling around people. Yo, what's going on? It's the weekend. What's up? So that's how we was getting a lot of things going too. Was just okay. If it's not in the newspaper, somebody got to know something, and if
Right.
nobody knows nothing, it's the weekend. We got a couple of hours. Let's go out to New York. Let's see what's going on. So
Okay.
that would be our thing. Was on the weekends we save up our money, see what's going on. If there's nothing, in the newspaper, like I said, we make some phone calls. If we didn't get anything, we would just go out to New York, see if there's any artist showcase, any open mics, whatever, and we would just get to it. If we found something, we got our, 12 inches or a DAT on us,
Mm.
and we just, let's go. Always make sure that we was presentable. Make sure our gear was straight. And if they was like, yeah, it's open mic right here, or it's artist showcase, it's free. Even if it was like $5, $10, we was like, let's do it. You
And
know, because we figured,
you were prepared with all your material.
yeah. Because like I said, we didn't have if we didn't see anything in the newspaper, if we couldn't get a phone call from anybody saying, yeah, this is going on in New York, we had to just take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just take a chance, go to New York, and this is every weekend for like 3 years straight, and just seeing what's going on, you know. And like I said, sometimes we'll go over and we strike rich, and sometimes we go over and it was just a weekend. You know what I mean? But it's something that the kids today don't get the experience because, like you said, they're now everything is on the phone, so they don't have to go out unless they actually get an alert. Whereas before, it's like you had to go out because other than that, you may miss out on something.
I think that back then, like the artists back then, I'm not saying I don't respect, you know, and appreciate the artists now, but like what you guys did, you guys really did the legwork, so to speak, man. I mean, because like you literally had to be out and about.
Right.
You know, I remember back in the 90s, going to South Street on Friday and Saturday nights.
Oh yeah.
MCs out there's ciphers going on, people passing out
sets, CDs,
cassettes.
vinyl. Yeah.
Well,
I've
yeah,
seen it.
cassettes. Yeah, cassettes from me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they just taking that chance. And guess what? They were giving out the cassettes for free.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and like and that's why I always try to explain to some artists that you have to invest in yourself.
Oh yeah.
In order to get results. And it's like, and if that means giving out, you know, free music, that's what you have to do. So my next question is, all those recordings that you guys did, do you still have those in your possession? And have you thought about releasing some of that that old material? Because to be honest, if you did it, this is just my opinion.
Right.
If you probably did release it, I think it would put, yo, it's like the people were like, yo, this is dope. Like, you know, this, that, and the other. But, and there's no disrespect. Like, you say, oh, maybe it just sounds outdated. So, like, do you still have some of those recordings? Do you think that you will release them?
Yeah. In that 30 years, yeah, I actually uploaded some that were, you know, sound worthy because you got to remember this is 96, 97. So, you know, you have your 4 tracks back then. So everything is, you know, analog. It wasn't as digital as it is now. And people would take a cassette faster than they would take, you know, a CD. And the only reason was because a lot of people didn't have CD players, but everybody had a cassette player.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the ones that did survive and that had a good clarity from because sometimes, like I said, we have 4 tracks, and the 4 tracks probably have a song on there that we didn't convert to that, but it sounds great. So those are definitely online. The ones that do have that, you know, material, those are online too. So it's a nice percentage, about maybe 25 songs that are online. You know what I mean? And then the rest of them will go up from 96 on up. So
and where can
it's like
people find those songs at?
I made a playlist under my name. So if you go to DJ Melodic Sounds NJ on YouTube, and go into playlists, you'll see DJ. I think it says DJ Melodic Sounds again, and you click on that, and my whole catalog will pull up.
Now, you know, like 25, 30 years later,
Right.
you know, you put them on YouTube, you know, to date. What has been the response from people listening online and going on your YouTube page? Like how has the response been for your old material?
It's been great. You know what I mean? Because they'll say, "Oh, it has that '90s feel." You know what I mean? And they don't realize it's from the '90s because I don't put the year. It's just, you know, let's say if a song says "Maintain and Obey," you know what I mean? So if a song says,
so they think that is new material, but it has a 90s feel to it. Okay,
yeah. Yeah. So like let's say there's a song called Maintain Obey or making an album or Back 2000, they all have this 90s feel. I didn't put no um year to it except for Back 2000.
Okay.
And when you hear it, they're like, "Oh man, this has that '90s feel. You just released this?" And I'm like, "Nah, bro, this
Mm,
this song 30 years old." And they'd be shocked, like, "Really? Like,
mm,
wow, this sounds good, man. I thought you put this out." Like, nope. So it let me know I was going in the right direction. If I had released something 30 years ago or created something 30 years ago and then released it 30 years later and is getting direct that type of response, it's like, yeah, I got this. I know what I'm doing, you know.
now, fast forward, like what gave you the idea to create an LLC, Mixed Signal Productions? So, what gave you that spark to do that? Because that's actually a big move. And how long have you had your LLC?
I've had my LLC for 10 years. Before that, I had Melodic Sounds LLC. I had that for a couple years. I didn't get into it until I had went down to Georgia again, and this is 2008, and that's basically when I started the whole LLC experience. Um, I wanted to have a brand at the time, and like I said, I had my name for so long. I'm like, I might as well make it my brand. So in 2008, I started like September actually of 2008. I started Melodic Sounds LLC
Mhm.
and was releasing whatever I had at that time. You know, singles, EPs. I was doing T-shirts, coffee mugs, like whatever I can brand the name with, and getting great results at the
Okay.
time. So that's what led me to believe, like, all right, I'm doing what's right. And I just kept going. And then by 2014, I had we always had a best friend in the group. His name is Benny Smoke. And I was, I had got back to Jersey. So every couple of years I'm bouncing back and forth, but in the past 10 years I've been residing in New Jersey. So 2014, I get back and he's talking to me about, doing something production wise. And I said,
Mhm.
hey man, won't we, collaborate? And he was like, yeah, we need a name because he always had his production company, always had mine. So he was like, won't we do something together? So I wanted to have something to where it defined his style and defined my style. And they're totally different. You know what I mean? He has his, I has mine, but they work when I do like a little mixtape. It works. So I said, all right, I came up with the name. I said, what about Mixed Signals Productions? And he said, well, define it for me. And I told him, I said, well, your style is not going to be my style, and our levels are totally different when we create stuff. But when we put them together, it always works.
Gotcha.
So it's like, all right, cool. Let's go with it. So September again, I went in of 2014 and I created Mixed Signals Productions LLC.
Okay. That's what's up. And all your music is registered and everything too, correct?
Yes. Yep. Since 2002 is when I actually started making sure that everything was registered. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. How important is that for an artist out there? Because like a lot of artists still are not up on that
Right.
about registering your music. So like how important is that for an artist?
It's very important. Even now I've came across artists where, I'm telling them about copyrights, I'm telling them about publishing.
Mhm.
It could be even a artist producer, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, did you do this? Did you do that? And to me, they're more concerned with, okay, I went into this nice studio or I have a studio, right? Okay, I record this song. Okay, I posted it on social media or digital streaming platform. Okay, I have a music video. Like it's certain things that they just stop and they get content when they don't realize that there's more levels to it. You know what I mean? And when you try to tell them, they think that, oh, you're too old. You don't know what you're talking about. It's a new
Mm,
generation. You see what I mean? And these are between 20 and 30-year olds. So I'm like, all right, due to the fact that I've been going through this way longer than you have been doing this, because let's say they've been doing this for like 5 or 10 years, like I've been doing this for 30. Who wouldn't? And I'm not trying to be like I know it all, but it's like when you want to know somebody that has a little guidance or a little knowledge more than you do, and say, all right, let me try it their way before knocking it. And a lot of them will knock it before trying it. Like they're so hell bent on streaming because this person made 1 million streams or 1 billion streams, and they don't realize all the repercussions that come with having those billions. It's not like you're getting $1 billion or $1 million,
Right.
but for some strange reason they're like so hell bent on it. It's ridiculous, and I'm like, you would make so much more money just selling it yourself. And I think that they don't like to communicate. They figure that if they, like I said, I recorded it, I put it online, I got a music that the people will just be drawn to it. And it's, again, takes way more than just those steps. You got to go beyond that and then some. And I think that they're scared of that, of, hey, this is my single, check it out. They don't know how to like converse and get it to that point and keep that connection. Hey, did you check it out? What's going on? They just figure that once I release it, it'll do all the talking for me.
And you know what? Education is the key, man, because anything that you venture out to do, especially like in a business, because that's what artists are, a business.
Oh, yeah.
And just my personal opinion is, if you're going to start a business, wouldn't you want to know or talk to somebody that's been doing it for a while?
Right.
And I'm not just saying, you can get, your information from various artists. You don't just have to have just one main guy that you go to, but you because everybody's going to tell you something different. But the thing about it is, like, you could take all those pieces and also too, you use the internet as a tool, man. I mean, you look up everything's right there. If you Google anything, everything's gonna come up. So, but no, that's some great information that you gave us, man, because there's a lot of artists out there, especially young artists that, and to be honest, some older artists too, that really don't know that aspect of the music industry, and they can actually get paid off of their music. Now, it might not be a lot of money, but guess what? You're getting paid off of it. And that's the key. I mean, you place these songs here, place these songs there. You haven't registered. Hey, you know what? You're getting paid for it. Now, you might not, like I said, you might not be getting that much, but hey,
right.
But now you're a paid artist now. So that's some great information. So fast forward, you have a new project out,
right?
And that new project is called Mystery Mix. So tell me about that.
Mystery Mix was created 3 years ago, actually. It was released now because the project is with Brain Orchestra.
Okay. Shout out to Brain Orchestra out there, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, I had got up with him 3 years ago. I had the idea for the project because, when I create things, I want to make it to where it defines who the artist is and it defines who I am. So if I come up with a project or a concept, I'm trying to bring both of us together so the audience can hear, or the fans, the consumers can hear it, and they like what they hear. And it's two different styles being melted or gelled together. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what Mystery Mix was all about. It was his style and my style put together, and he's rhyming over it.
Now, where's Brain Orchestra from?
Say again?
Where's Brain Orchestra from?
He's from Elizabeth, New Jersey.
I did not know that.
Yep.
And you know what the crazy thing about it is? Shout out to my man Sharif out there in Louisville, Kentucky. He actually sends me his music, which is super crazy. He sent me songs from you too, and I was like,
right.
I already got this. Yo, my man, I gotta link you up with my man Sharif, because like my man Sharif is the real deal. I mean, he's a marketing and promoting genius. I mean, he'll send out the music, he'll promote it for you.
Right.
I'll give you his information after when we finish.
Please do. And the name sounds familiar too. Like, I grew up hearing the name like Sharif, you know what I mean? So it'd be a small world if it's the same person. Was he did he ever live in New Jersey?
I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure. But he was doing radio for so many years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like his background is very extensive, and now he's in Louisville, and like Sharif will give me songs like, okay, I'll give you one example. Like Sharif gave me a song from Divine Drummer, and that's my man. That like Divine Drummer,
Wow.
like, me and Divine Drummer, like we're boys. Like
Oh
we had a
wow.
show on WPRB, and
Okay.
he was like, "Yo, I got this song by Divine Drummer." I was like, "What?" So I texted Divine Drummer. I was like, "Bro, you did not tell me that you had a song with Sadat X," and he just started laughing. He said, "Where'd you get it from?" I said, "Where do you think I got it from?" He said, "Sharif." I was like, "Yep." But nah, Sharif has his ear to every, like when you talk about hip hop, Sharif
Right.
knows. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna give you his information after the show. Now, the one, I don't know if it was a project, but I know it was a couple of songs that you sent me maybe like 2.5, maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago with Process.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I was playing it, I was just like, yo, this is some next level hip hop right here, man. So like tell me like that whole the process of working with Process, because like those songs that you sent me, I was just like, yo, like what is this? But it was dope though. So like tell me about that.
Yeah, that's the project I had with Process. The project's called Mozambique.
Mm.
Um, and he had to define that of it. I forgot in that time frame, but what the definition of it was. It's simple, but I'm just, it's been so long. I'm sorry, guys.
Nah.
But the project was basically me and him coming together. He, saw, like I said, online that I was, doing music and stuff like that, and was like, "Yo, we should collab." So I sent him, a couple of beats, and he liked them right off the bat. So the things that you hear, he like right off the bat of like probably the first email that I had sent him. He was like, "Yo, I like this one. I like this one." You know what I mean? He was just hitting them out. So from there, he came up with the concept and everything. That's basically his baby. I ain't gonna lie to you. All I did was provide the beats. He did, like, if you look online, there's 3 music videos for it. Like one of the songs has Illa G on it, called
Yes.
Peruvian Powder. My guy provided all that. I give all praises due to this guy. He did a marvelous job with Mozambique. He made sure that it was mixed right, mastered it right, sound right. He's like, "I like this, 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 this. Let's do this." And I just went along for the ride. You know what I mean? And it was a great experience because he knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how to like knock it out the box, and he did. And you can tell when you see the music videos, you can tell when you hear the music. He did a phenomenal job. So salute to Process on that one.
Now fast forward, like no, with the songs you did with Brain Orchestra,
Right.
you sent me a couple, and you sent me. I just played a remix last week, and so how's the response been from those records, man? And just tell me like anything that you guys got going on, because I know you said that Mystery Mix is out now. It's been out for like 2 years, so
No, no. Uh,
so
the,
like
the
you
the
have any?
process of
Yeah.
it was about 3 years, but
Okay,
when I released it, it came out in February 24th
okay.
was the release date for everything. So yeah, but it was like a 2-3 year process to actually release it. So yeah.
So how's the response been with those records? Because I seen a lot of podcasts, I've seen like a lot of DJs from various radio shows, like just like giving high praise to those records, man. But overall, how's the response been?
The response has been great, man. I gotta definitely do a video of the responses that I have got in the comments, people sharing the songs online, on their different social media platforms. It's been great. You know what I mean? I haven't got any, and I'm not gonna lie, on the actual songs. Like, let's say if it's on YouTube or Spotify,
Mhm.
but the fans and supporters, like if I post a video or something like that of, let's say that one of the radio stations is playing it,
Okay.
they will leave a comment, congratulations, fire, emojis, uh, hand clap emojis, salutes, or whatever. So it's letting me know that, it's getting a response. And I'm not tagging anybody. I'll just post it. I mean, post like,
No.
or tag like family members, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or friends or something like that. But these are people that don't know me from a can of paint. and they're, responding like, yo, this is hot. And I'm like, how does he even find this out? I didn't even tag him. But that just shows you, even though you're tagging people, it's social media is just the world. So it could be somebody from Australia, it could be somebody from China, you know what I mean, that's listening to your music, and you're here in America, you don't know them from anything, and they're leaving, yo, that's fire, I like that, what else you guys got? So that's one thing that we didn't have 30 years ago that I'm proud of that we got 30 years later, because we couldn't reach it as fast as we could, because the 12-inch that we did put out 30 years ago did reach overseas in different places, because we had invested, our money into it. We got like 100 copies of the 12-inch. So it did get to Europe. It did get to Asia. And you can find that out by just going on YouTube, putting in the song, and you'll see that it has, went different places than New Jersey. And that was one of the blessings that I thought was great that we had did back then,
Sure. So what's next for DJ Melodic Sounds? Like, do you have any because like you said, because you tagged me in a couple of the posts, and
Right.
I seen it, like there's a great response to it. So so has the response from other artists say, yo, I want to work with you, and so what's going on now with DJ Melodic Sounds? Are you like really in high demand right now of your production?
I wouldn't say I'm in high demand, but with that project, excuse me, the Mystery Mix projects that created was, or it made exist, was, like I said, there's 2 out of the 4 that's still doing music. So the other artists hit me up from our group and was like, yo, that song Feeling Your Pain, it's fire. I gotta be on it. You know what I mean? And me and the artist's name is Kais, of course. Me and Kais, the last song we did was 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that was This World. That was the song I was saying that I was on the chorus of. So here it is 30 years later. We're doing the song, a remix actually of a song, and it sounds great. You know what I mean? It sounds like we still have that chemistry, and that's a great thing, because he's been doing his thing, I've been doing my thing, but to be able to come together and create something is magical. So
Word.
yeah,
So
as
go ahead.
far as me doing anything is, after that, the Mystery Mix, I have an instrumental project out right now called Universal Tongues 2. It has 5 various multi-genres on it. So you got rock, you got soul, you got funk, you got blues, you got jazz. So I've been even promoting that, and it's been getting a couple of responses online too. So I've been posting videos so people can see, because the internet's big, you know what I mean? So I can email it to somebody, and they got a show in Brazil, Indonesia, Thailand. I mean, everybody got a podcast now, but the great thing about it is that it's in different places and you get to hear it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely correct. How can people get in contact with you, man? Because we need to, get you, out there. Well, you're already out there now, but no, we need to let people know who DJ Melodic Sounds is, and and what you're doing and what you've done. So, like, how can people get in contact with you, and and where can people find your music at? I know you said YouTube, but do you have it anywhere else?
Yeah, my music is all over the place. Definitely, all digital streaming platforms has a nice percentage of my music. Previously, since 2018, I've been trying to put all my music on Bandcamp, just so I can actually do like physical copies and merchandise, things of that nature. And I've been getting a better response back doing it that way, as well as direct the customer. And the way I do that is, social media. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and people will just message me and say, hey, I like this song, I want to collab, or hey, I like the shirt that you was wearing, do you have it? Because I do have merch for my projects that I put out. So yeah, mainly, hit me up on social media. Facebook, it's Melodic Sounds, what is it? Melodic Sounds LLC. Instagram, it's Mixed Signals PRODS, and Twitter/X, it's at DJ Melodic 76.
That's what's up. Hey, look, man, I want to thank you for coming on, man. And anytime, well, you send me music, and that's the one thing I like about you because, we first met via email years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
and and you did the groundwork. You did like I always put out, hey, if any artists out there, whatever, whatever. But
right.
you took the initiative and you introduced yourself to me, a nice paragraph, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and you just sent me some music. And ever since then, man, it's just been, hey, anything that Melodic Sound sends me, I'm gonna play it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate this interview that you had. I appreciate everything that you have done since I've been emailing you my music. Because I
Word.
know it's been like 10 years, but I don't think that you got all 10 years of it, but you got a
Nope.
nice portion of it. And anything that you have played since then, I am totally grateful. So thank you
Word.
very much.
Hey, look, man, anything that you need from me on my end, man, just let me know. And we're just going to keep it moving like that, bro. Okay.
Definitely, man. Thank you once again.
No problem. Thank you for coming on, man.
You're welcome, man.
All
I
right.
appreciate
Peace.
it. Have a good evening.
All right. You too. And that was my man, DJ Melodic Sounds, man. Please go out and support him, man. Him and Brain Orchestra, they got something going on good, man. And, it's just a great thing. It's Jersey hip hop at its finest. That's all I gotta say. It's Jersey hip hop at its finest. You see Redman in the back of me, man. I mean, it's Jersey all day, man. So look, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Look, this, like I said, all these interviews are gonna go on Who Mag TV, and which is shown on Roku and shown on the Fire Stick, and it's gonna get traction. I mean, I'm trying to help out independent artists. And because, I have the radio show, Sabi Radio, every Sunday, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. on WPRB 103.3 FM, playing classic and independent hip hop. Got a lot of shit going on. And I'm on Splash 98.5 FM on Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. under the boardwalk. Hey, look, man, look, this is all I'm saying, man. I mean, like, this is a great opportunity for all the artists out there, and we're just trying to keep hip hop alive, man. Great content, great music. That's what I'm all about. So, with that being said, I'll talk to you guys later on. Peace.
Praying for the days, skip times like this, just to live like that, just to cop.